Hello and welcome to another one video. World War II. So the foundation of World War II was placed right after the World War I. At the end of the World War I, a treaty was signed which was called the Treaty of Versailles. This treaty served as a reprimand for those who were considered responsible for the World War I. Germany was majorly considered responsible for it, therefore certain reservations were made against Germany like Germany will have to pay the penalties as a reparations of the war. They'll not be doing rearmament. Germany will not attack its enemy countries. Germany cannot apply conscription law on their people. The Treaty of Versailles was signed by the newly formed government in Germany post-World War, which was known as Weimar Republic. After these reservation Germany's economy was not in sound state, hence they started borrowing funds from America to withstand, and America was kind enough to extend loans to Germans. Meanwhile, something remarkable happened in America. There was a series of bank failures and collapse of market which resulted in panic, and eventually stock market was collapsed. The Great Economical Depression was all over America which gradually spread in the whole world. In this meantime Hitler said to the people of the Germany that Treaty of Versailles, which is causing lots of problem, is signed by the puppet government not by the military, and said that this government has made us look weak and we must revive the lost pride of the Germany. People of Germany found it really tempting and pompous. Because of the growing popularity of Hitler, von Hindenburg made Hitler the chancellor. Later when Hindenburg died, Hitler, using the emergency provision of the constitution, became the dictator. As soon as he became dictator, he started breaking all the conditions of the Treaty of Versailles. He started rearming the army and started extending the personals of army. Hitler had simple yet comprehensive objective, i.e. complete domination in Europe. And just like Hitler, in Asia the Japanese also wanted the domination in the entire Manchuria region and Asia-Pacific. Hitler broke the last condition of the treaty, which was to not attack its neighbor countries and attack Czechoslovakia and other small areas, which were taken away from Germany by Treaty of Versailles. While all this was happening, Britain and France were sitting quietly and did nothing, which motivated Hitler to continue his attacks. Before attacking Poland, Hitler signed a treaty with Russia, which said that Russians will not intervene when Hitler will attack Poland, also Russians will be providing ammo to Germans in return of machineries. Other than this, there was one secret treaty which was signed between these two nations, in which Russia promised Germany of not intervening when they'll attack Poland, and in return, Germans will give them large part of it. But Germans had a secret plan to attack Russia, also after when they'll capture Poland, which was obviously hidden from Russia. Once Poland was captured by Germany, Britain and France declared war against Germany. Now from the side of France there was France's army, from other side British army, and at the another side German army. All three of them were facing towards each other. They kept on facing each other without even firing a single bullet for the period of 8 months, therefore the skirmish war was termed as phony war. But one day all of a sudden Germans opened the fire and attacked like a blitzkrieg, due to which Francis and British had to run. After this France surrendered to Germans and signed a treaty of peace in the moving train. Germans now were fully prepared to attack Russia, and they did so, but this turned out to be the biggest mistake because geographically Russia is quite spread out, unlike other countries which were under the attack of Germans so far. Germans first attacked on Leningrad, currently known as St. Petersburg, then Stalingrad, followed by Ukraine. The same time British requested America to provide them with ammo, to which America readily agreed and started supplying war ammunition to war-torn countries, which America continues to do so. So it was decided to send the ammo to Britain from the Atlantic Ocean. Germans were clever enough to sense it, therefore, they sent their submarines called U-boat. U-boats made a barbaric destruction on the American ships. This war is known as the Battle of Atlanta. On a different front, in the meantime, Japan captured entire Manchuria region of China, whole south of Singapore. Japanese invaded China and killed them mercilessly. Japanese intelligence reported of American presence at Pearl Harbor's port of Oahu Island. Therefore Japan, under a secret mission, took their war machineries, warships, aircraft carrier towards Pearl Harbor. They destructed whole of Pearl Harbor and returned back. Now this rattled America black and blue, and America was prompted to get into war. All the Allied forces made the plan to bring down the Axis forces. It started from Italy and then France, which was under Germans. At the same time Red Army was also coming towards German forces. Germany now was overcasted. Allied breached Rhine River and Red Army breached Berlin. Kursk Russian made the final attack, and then finally the Battle of Berlin was fought, where Red Army won. It was the major victory of Allied forces against Axis enemies. After that Hitler on 30 April committed suicide. Mussolini just 2 days before the suicide of the Hitler was lynched by the mob of Italy. Now the only major Axis enemy left was Japan. Americans who were already rattled by the attack on Pearl Harbor captured Okinawa Island and wrested their huge Navy convoy there and ordered Japan to surrender, else they'll attack them before winter. But in the meantime, Project Trinity is part of Manhattan Project of New Mexico White Sand Testing Resort, which was the project of nuclear bomb, became successful. Because of its success, Americans were overwhelmed and again asked Japans to surrender as soon as possible or be ready for the repercussion. To its response, Japanese PM Kantaro Suzuki said, "We don't consider Americans significant." Hence two things happened: Russian Red Army attacked Manchuria. Atomic blast at Hiroshima. But Japan still decided not to surrender. Therefore, after 3 days, another atom bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. Japan finally came down, and first time Japanese emperor came on radio and made an emotional rant. "We have chosen to bear the unbearable and suffer the insufferable for the sake of peace of coming generation. We surrender." And finally World War II came to an end. It was the greatest man-made disaster which caused millions of lives, but looking at the bloodshed across the globe even today, it seems that we haven't learned our lessons well. What are some interesting facts about World War II? 1. The Nazis came close to developing plutonium. As if the Nazis weren't sinister enough, they came surprisingly close to developing plutonium, the stuff that makes nuclear weapons go kaboom. When the Germans invaded Norway, they took over a factory in the Telemark region that produced heavy water, which was used to create plutonium. But before they were able to produce anything, a band of 11 Norwegian commandos sabotaged the plant, setting off explosives in the base without suffering a single casualty on their side. 2. Japan was working on a death ray. Japan paid 1 million yen to a team of scientists that promised they could create a death ray that would use wave electric power to kill humans standing miles away, drawing on the innovations of Nikola Tesla. The Japanese got as far as a prototype that could kill from as far away half a mile, but the target had to stand still for 10 minutes for it to work. 3. The swastika meant very different things before Hitler got a hold of it. The swastika symbol has become synonymous with Nazis, anti-Semitism, and hate. But it was not always so. The geometric symbol, which gets its name from the Sanskrit expression for conducive to well-being or auspicious, appeared in a number of cultures and spiritual practices, from Jainism to Hinduism to Native American iconography. Too bad Hitler had to ruin it. 4 more Russian soldiers died in one battle than all British and US soldiers in the war. The largest confrontation of World War II, the Blood Battle of Stalingrad, which lasted from July 1942 to February 1943, began with Germany's attempt to capture the industrial city, included air attacks and degenerated into house-to-house fights, with reinforcements streaming into the city from both sides as tens of thousands were killed. Though the Axis powers suffered between 650,000 and 868,000 casualties, the Soviet Union lost more than 1.1 million people. 5. U.S. Navy Command was once known as CINCUS. An acronym for Commander-in-Chief, United States Fleet, it was pronounced CINCUS, which proved particularly awkward after Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941. It was quickly changed to Comanche in December 1941, and its jurisdiction was expanded as it was given command of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Asiatic fleets in the process. 6. The tallest German soldier surrendered to one of the shortest Allied soldiers. Maybe the Allies were just trying to rub it in, but the rather diminutive British Corporal Bob Roberts was charged with taking the surrender of one of the tallest soldiers in the German army. Standing at 7'6", Jacob Nacken towered over Roberts, 5'3", as he accepted his surrender. "I didn't take a lot of notice of this guy at the time. I just passed the prisoners on one after the other after searching them," Roberts said later. "But my mates who were watching the rest of the men saw this giant of a guy approach me, and I was aware they and the Germans were having a good laugh." 7. One battle lasted the entire war. The Battle of the Atlantic ran as long as World War II itself, from the moment the British declared war against Germany in September 1939 through the German surrender in May 1945, almost 6 years. The whole time, German U-boats aimed to disrupt the supplies of goods going to Britain, battled the Royal Navy, Royal Canadian Navy, and United States Navy, as well as Allied merchant ships. The Germans were devastatingly effective at times, practically starving the British during some periods of the battle until, eventually, the tide turned. 8. 2/3 of Soviet men born in 1923 didn't survive the war. Though some accounts claim 80% of Soviet men born in 1923 died during the war, Mark Harrison, professor at the Department of Economics at the University of Warwick, crunched the numbers and came up with a lower, but still staggering, figure. Around two-thirds, more exactly, 68%, of the original 1923 male birth cohort did not survive World War II, he wrote on his blog. 9. Not all Soviet mortality was war-related. That staggering aforementioned 68% statistic hides another important fact. These men didn't all die in the war. As Harrison explains, the war was not even the most important reason for the low survival rate of these Soviets. The babies of 1923 were born at an awful time and faced a dismal future, he wrote. The country they were born in was poor and violent. Between 1914 and 1921 their families had endured 7 years of war and civil war, immediately followed by a major famine. Their society lacked modern sanitation, immunization programs, and antibiotics. Rates of infant mortality and childhood mortality were shockingly high. Those born in 1923 would have had to survive a major famine in 1932, plus Stalin's Great Terror in 1937. By the time Germany attacked their country in 1941, many had already been decimated. 10. The first American serviceman died out of sacrifice. Iowa native and West Point graduate Robert M. Losey was directed to Norway as the Germans began to invade the country to help evacuate American officials across the Swedish border. He reached Sweden with U.S. Minister Florence Jaffray Harriman, but lost contact with the second part of his party and decided to return to Norway to search for them. Harriman volunteered to join him, but Losey reportedly told her, "I certainly don't want to be killed, but your death would be the more serious." She opted to stay in Sweden, and Losey was indeed killed when a bomb fell near a railway tunnel in which he sought cover, making him the first U.S. casualty of the war. 11. The final American serviceman killed was killed in his parents' native country. Private First Class Charlie Havlet, born in Nebraska to Czech immigrants, returned to his parents' native home of Czechoslovakia while serving his country. On a dirt road just 12 miles into the country, on May 7, 1945, Havlet and his platoon were showered with enemy machine gun fire. He took a bullet to the head and was killed instantly. Neither he nor the German officer who led the ambush that ended his life knew that a ceasefire had been announced just 9 minutes earlier. 12. A downed Japanese pilot was welcomed onto U.S. territory. Japanese pilot Shigenori Nishikaichi, among those who bombed Pearl Harbor, crash-landed onto Hawaii. The locals, unaware that the Japanese had just set off hostilities with their country, welcomed the enemy fighter graciously, offering him breakfast and even throwing him a luau with Nishikaichi grabbing a guitar and treating the crowd to a traditional Japanese song. What is the most brutal truth about World War II? Nazi human experimentation in the early to mid-1940s, during World War II and the Holocaust, the Nazis experimented on thousands of men, women, and children. Their major target populations included Romani, Sinti, ethnic Poles, Soviet POWs, disabled Germans, and Jews from across Europe. At Auschwitz and other camps, under the direction of Edward Wirths, selected inmates were subjected to various hazardous experiments that were designed to help German military personnel in combat situations develop new weapons, aid in the recovery of military personnel who had been injured, and to advance the Nazi racial ideology. Experiments on twin children in concentration camps were created to show the similarities and differences in the genetics of twins, as well as to see if the human body can be unnaturally manipulated. The central leader of the experiments was Joseph Mengele, who from 1943 to 1944 performed experiments on nearly 1,500 sets of imprisoned twins at Auschwitz. About 200 people survived these studies. The twins were arranged by age and sex and kept in barracks between experiments, which ranged from injection of different dyes into the eyes of twins to see whether it would change their color to sewing twins together in attempts to create conjoined twins. Oftentimes, one twin would be forced to undergo experimentation, while the other was kept as a control. If the experimentation reached the point of death, the second twin would be brought in to be killed at the same time. Doctors would then look at the effects of experimentation and compare both bodies. Bone, muscle, and nerve transplantation experiments from about September 1942 to about December 1943 experiments were conducted at the Ravensbrück concentration camp for the benefit of the German armed forces to study bone, muscle, and nerve regeneration and bone transplantation from one person to another. Sections of bones, muscles, and nerves were removed from the subjects without use of anesthesia. As a result of these operations, many victims suffered intense agony, mutilation, and permanent disability. On August 12, 1946, a survivor named Jadwiga Kamieńska gave a deposition about her time at Ravensbrück concentration camp and describes how she was operated on twice. Both operations involved one of her legs, and although she never describes having any knowledge as to what exactly the procedure was, she explains that both times she was in extreme pain and developed a fever post-surgery. Yet she was given little to no care. Kamińska describes being told that she had been operated on simply because she was a young girl and a Polish patriot. She describes how her leg oozed pus for months after the operations. Prisoners were also experimented on by having their bone marrow injected with bacteria to study the effectiveness of new drugs being developed for use in the battlefields. Many prisoners left the camps with disfigurement that would last the rest of their lives. Head injury experiments in mid-1942 in Baranowicz, occupied Poland. Experiments were conducted in a small building behind a private home occupied by a known Nazi South Dakota Security Service officer, in which a young boy of 11 or 12 was strapped to a chair so he could not move. Above him was a mechanized hammer that every few seconds came down upon his head. The boy was driven insane from the torture. Freezing experiments. In 1941, the Luftwaffe conducted experiments with the intent of discovering means to prevent and treat hypothermia. There were 360 to 400 experiments and 280 to 300 victims, indicating some victims suffered more than one experiment. Beginning in August 1942, at the Dachau camp, prisoners were forced to sit in tanks of freezing water for up to 3 hours. After subjects were frozen, they then underwent different methods for rewarming. Many subjects died in this process. Malaria experiments. From about February 1942 to about April 1945, experiments were conducted at the Dachau concentration camp in order to investigate immunization for treatment of malaria. Healthy inmates were infected by mosquitoes or by injections of extracts of the mucus glands of female mosquitoes. After contracting the disease, the subjects were treated with various drugs to test their relative efficiency. Over 1,200 people were used in these experiments, and more than half died as a result. Other test subjects were left with permanent disabilities. Sulfonamide experiments from about July 1942 to about September 1943, experiments to investigate the effectiveness of sulfonamide, a synthetic antimicrobial agent, were conducted at Ravensbrück. Wounds inflicted on the subjects were infected with bacteria such as Streptococcus, Clostridium perfringens, a major causative agent in gas gangrene, and Clostridium tetani, the causative agent in tetanus. Circulation of blood was interrupted by tying off blood vessels at both ends of the wound to create a condition similar to that of a battlefield wound. Infection was aggravated by forcing wood shavings and ground glass into the wounds. The infection was treated with sulfonamide and other drugs to determine their effectiveness. Experiments with poison. Somewhere between December 1943 and October 1944, experiments were conducted at Buchenwald to investigate the effect of various poisons. The poisons were secretly administered to experimental subjects in their food. The victims died as a result of the poison or were killed immediately in order to permit autopsies. In September 1944, experimental subjects were shot with poisonous bullets, suffered torture and often died. Incendiary bomb experiments from around November 1943 to around January 1944, experiments were conducted at Buchenwald to test the effect of various pharmaceutical preparations on phosphorus burns. These burns were inflicted on prisoners using phosphorus material extracted from incendiary bombs. High-altitude experiments. In early 1942, prisoners at Dachau concentration camp were used by Sigmund Rascher in experiments to aid German pilots who had to eject at high altitudes. A low-pressure chamber containing these prisoners was used to simulate conditions at altitudes of up to 20,000 meters, 66,000 feet. It was rumored that Rascher performed vivisections on the brains of victims who survived the initial experiment. Of the 200 subjects, 80 died outright, and the others were executed. In a letter from April 5, 1942, between Dr. Sigmund Rascher and Heinrich Himmler, Rascher explains the results of a low-pressure experiment that was performed on people at Dachau concentration camp, in which the victim was suffocated, while Rascher and another unnamed doctor took note of his reactions. The person was described as 37 years old and in good health before being murdered. Rascher described the victim's actions as he began to lose oxygen and timed the changes in behavior. The 37-year-old began to wiggle his head at 4 minutes. A minute later, Rascher observed that he was suffering from cramps before falling unconscious. He describes how the victim then lay unconscious, breathing only 3 times per minute, until he stopped breathing 30 minutes after being deprived of oxygen. The victim then turned blue and began foaming at the mouth. An autopsy followed an hour later. In a letter from Heinrich Himmler to Dr. Sigmund Rascher on April 13, 1942, Himmler ordered Rascher to continue the high-altitude experiments and to continue experimenting on prisoners condemned to death and to determine whether these men could be recalled to life. If a victim could be successfully resuscitated, Himmler ordered that he be pardoned to concentration camp for life. Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research and development unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that undertook lethal human experimentation during the Second Sino-Japanese War, 1937-1945, of World War II. It was responsible for some of the most notorious war crimes carried out by Imperial Japan. Unit 731 was based at the Pingfang district of Harbin, the largest city in the Japanese puppet state of Manchukuo, now northeast China. At least 3,000 men, women, and children, from which at least 600 every year were provided by the Kempeitai, were subjected as logs to experimentation conducted by Unit 731 at the camp based in Pingfang alone, which does not include victims from other medical experimentation sites, such as Unit 100. Unit 731 participants of Japan attest that most of the victims they experimented on were Chinese, while a lesser percentage were Soviet, Mongolian, Korean, and other Allied POWs. The unit received generous support from the Japanese government up to the end of the war in 1945. Vivisection. Thousands of men, women, children, and infants interned at prisoner of war camps were subjected to vivisection, often without anesthesia, and usually ending with the death of the victim. Vivisections were performed on prisoners after infecting them with various diseases. Researchers performed invasive surgery on prisoners, removing organs to study the effects of disease on the human body. These were conducted while the patients were alive because it was thought that the death of the subject would affect the results. Prisoners had limbs amputated in order to study blood loss. Those limbs that were removed were sometimes reattached to the opposite sides of the body. Some prisoners had their stomachs surgically removed and the esophagus reattached to the intestines. Parts of organs, such as the brain, lungs, and liver, were removed from some prisoners. Imperial Japanese Army surgeon Ken Yuasa suggests that the practice of vivisection on human subjects, mostly Chinese communists, was widespread even outside Unit 731, estimating that at least 1,000 Japanese personnel were involved in the practice in mainland China. Germ warfare attacks. Prisoners were injected with diseases disguised as vaccinations to study their effects. To study the effects of untreated venereal diseases, male and female prisoners were deliberately infected with syphilis and gonorrhea, then studied. Prisoners were also repeatedly subject to rape by guards. Plague fleas, infected clothing, and infected supplies encased in bombs were dropped on various targets. The resulting cholera, anthrax, and plague were estimated to have killed at least 400,000 Chinese civilians. Tularemia was tested on Chinese civilians. Unit 731 and its affiliated units, Unit 1644 and Unit 100 among others, were involved in research, development and experimental deployment of epidemic-creating biowarfare weapons in assaults against the Chinese populace, both civilian and military, throughout World War II. Plague-infected fleas, bred in the laboratories of Unit 731 and Unit 1644, were spread by low-flying airplanes upon Chinese cities, including coastal Ningbo in 1940 and Changde, Hunan Province, in 1941. This military aerial spraying killed thousands of people with bubonic plague epidemics. It is possible that Unit 731's methods and objectives were also followed in Indonesia in a case of a failed experiment designed to validate a synthesized tetanus toxoid vaccine. Frostbite testing. Physiologist Yoshimura Hisato conducted experiments by taking captives outside, dipping various appendages into water, and allowing the limb to freeze. Once frozen, which testimony from a Japanese officer said was determined after the frozen arms, when struck with a short stick, emitted a sound resembling that which a board gives when it is struck, ice was chipped away, and the area doused in water. The effects of different water temperatures were tested by bludgeoning the victim to determine if any areas were still frozen. Syphilis. Doctors orchestrated forced sex acts between infected and non-infected prisoners to transmit the disease, as the testimony of a prison guard on the subject of devising a method for transmission of syphilis between patients shows. Infection of venereal disease by injection was abandoned, and the researchers started forcing the prisoners into sexual acts with each other. 4 or 5 unit members, dressed in white laboratory clothing completely covering the body with only eyes and mouth visible, handled the tests. A male and female, one infected with syphilis, would be brought together in a cell and forced into sex with each other. It was made clear that anyone resisting would be shot. After victims were infected, they were vivisected at different stages of infection so that internal and external organs could be observed as the disease progressed. Testimony from multiple guards blames the female victims as being hosts of the diseases, even as they were forcibly infected. Genitals of female prisoners that were infected with syphilis were called jam-filled buns by guards. Some children grew up inside the walls of Unit 731, infected with syphilis. A Youth Corps member deployed to train at Unit 731 recalled viewing a batch of subjects that would undergo syphilis testing. One was a Chinese woman holding an infant, one was a white Russian woman with a daughter of 4 or 5 years of age, and the last was a white Russian woman with a boy of about 6 or 7. The children of these women were tested in ways similar to their parents, with specific emphasis on determining how longer infection periods affected the effectiveness of treatments. Rape and forced pregnancy. Female prisoners were forced to become pregnant for use in experiments. The hypothetical possibility of vertical transmission from mother to child of diseases, particularly syphilis, was the stated reason for the torture. Fetal survival and damage to mothers' reproductive organs were objects of interest. Though a large number of babies were born in captivity, there have been no accounts of any survivors of Unit 731, children included. It is suspected that the children of female prisoners were killed after birth or aborted. While male prisoners were often used in single studies so that the results of the experimentation on them would not be clouded by other variables, women were sometimes used in bacteriological or physiological experiments, sex experiments, and as the victims of sex crimes. The testimony of a unit member that served as guard graphically demonstrated this reality. One of the former researchers I located told me that one day he had a human experiment scheduled, but there was still time to kill. So he and another unit member took the keys to the cells and opened one that housed a Chinese woman. One of the unit members raped her, the other member took the keys and opened another cell. There was a Chinese woman in there who had been used in a frostbite experiment. She had several fingers missing and her bones were black, with gangrene set in. He was about to rape her anyway, then he saw that her sex organ was festering, with pus oozing to the surface. He gave up the idea, left and locked the door, then later went on to his experimental work. Weapon testing. Human targets were used to test grenades positioned at various distances and in different positions. Flamethrowers were tested on humans. Humans were also tied to stakes and used as targets to test germ-releasing bombs, chemical weapons, and explosive bombs. Other experiments. In other tests, subjects were deprived of food and water to determine the length of time until death, placed into high-pressure chambers until death, experimented upon to determine the relationship between temperature, burns, and human survival, placed into centrifuges and spun until death, injected with animal blood, exposed to lethal doses of X-rays, subjected to various chemical weapons inside gas chambers, injected with seawater, and burned or buried alive. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe the video.